Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and someone that's given too much money to Hasbro. Do not panic. This is just a random review.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel, and welcome back to YOLO Park. Once again, we're going to be taking a look at one of their AMK Pro figures that they were kind enough to send me in advance of its release, so I thank them very, very much for their cooperation with the video. Now, if you were impressed by what you were about to see in this video, keep in mind I will have a link in the description where you can go get your own, and I very much appreciate you using that link. YOLO Park does some really, really good work for actually a surprisingly good amount of money. So we need to take a look at this guy to see if that holds up, and spoiler alert, it's going to. This is their new AMK Pro Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie. So this one I am very, very familiar with. I have had hands-on experience with the large version of this toy, like, you know, like the Titan-sized one that they did. It's incredibly impressive what they did there. So let's see if they maintained it. Now, AMK Pros, if you are unaware, we've explained this on the channel before, but to give you the quickest explanation we can, when you open one up, you're going to receive several trays of plastic. One of them is going to be the frame of the figure, one is going to be the outward parts, and one of them is going to be the accessories and the display base. And when you get those, they are going to be laid out in such a way that you know exactly what parts go where in what order, because everything is basically arranged the way you would build it already. It's incredibly convenient. You can have instructions to follow if you want, but if you've built one or two of these before, you can probably just build it right out of the box. It's really intuitive and a fun experience to actually get to, like, put the assembly together yourself. Also, they do come in die-cast parts, so I can't really, I can't show you where the die-cast is, but it is all across the body. It's in the joints, and a lot of it is in the legs to make sure it's bottom-heavy. Means that it's going to be very hard to tip over. I love when they do that. And size-wise, yeah, these stack up pretty good. It is a pretty good-sized figure for your money. This comes in, like, large Voyager, like, short leader kind of scale on price. Let's take a look. There's your Voyager comparison. Yeah, this is a hefty toy. These are hefty figures. So when you get into one of these designs, obviously the thing you're going to want is detail. So we can take a look at the detailing of the toy, and it is immense and intricate. Look at how much sculpting has gone into this figure. We're not even talking deco yet. This is just the sculpt of it. I mean, they really went all out when it came to modernizing the G1 designs for the Cybertron scene in the Bumblebee movie, and you can tell just, like, how much has gone into it. I mean, you got the eyes sunken in there, all the sculpted lines across the face. Like, they really did everything they could to capture all the little details from that movie model. Not easy. Not easy to replicate a live-action movie Transformer, but they've done an incredible job of doing it at this size. I mean, look at all of, like, the internal parts. Like, I've got to, like, raise the arm up and out so you can see. Just, like, parts that you normally would not see have been lavishly painted and detailed inside. Not only to just get the details right, but to convince you this is, like, a functioning, living robot. Look at the detail down the arm. This is incredible levels here. So not only do you have all of the paint, you know, detailing all the little bits, look at all of the layers of sculpting in there to look like all of these machines just stacked up on top of each other to make Optimus Prime function. Look at all the cables. Look at all the belts and chains. It's it's figures like this. Like, another reason why I kind of champion non-transforming Transformer toys is it just gives you such a better look at all the detail that went in. Because all this is in the movie model, you just never see it because the model is just moving around so much. It's so kinetic, the lighting. These are the kind of toys where you can really start to appreciate how much detail and design went into these pieces. And the characters that you see in the movie. Look at the back. Look at all the intricate work in the back, the red and the gunmetal overlapping each other to give it this really layered look, like you're looking at multiple layers of just outer armor. Like, absolutely incredible, incredible levels of detail. The inside of the thighs, where you can see springs and pistons and all manner of machinery you would expect on a high-tech robot. Look down here, we've got more gears, we've got more chains. And yeah, just like details that would just go completely unnoticed, unused, unpainted, or even unsculpted on a retail release Transformer toy because they have to prioritize the transformation function. Here they can focus on accuracy, and you can really tell the difference. The weathering on this one, typically, Yellow Park AMK Pro stuff would have a lot of like paint weathering to make it look like it has been through combat. There's not as much of that here. You get a little bit of on the chest and a little bit of on the legs, but for the most part, he's a little bit of a cleaner design than most. So you get to take in this really nice visual of how Optimus Prime looked during the Cybertron scenes in the Bumblebee movie. I mean, I think because we are so focused on the play value of these toys and the overall engineering, we kind of forget there is a genuine artist behind the sculpt of these toys. And that is not recognized nearly enough. And yeah, pieces like this make me appreciate it so, so much. So, as an action figure primarily, we don't have to worry about a transformation, but we do have a very intense level of articulation that we have to go over through the entire toy. So, the head itself is ball jointed above and below the neck, which lets you have a huge range of motion, and the neck is sculpted so that you really can't break the immersion. It looks like parts coming out of Prime's torso, no matter what you really do with it, and that's a really, really cool touch. Really, really, really nice job. The torso itself has a rock in both directions, as well as an ab crunch, so you can get a deep bend along with all the torso articulation. Look at that. Fantastic there. You've got butterfly shoulders, so the arms can move inward at the shoulder point. Here's a fun part. So this will hinge up and get out of the way if you want to have the arm extend even farther out, which is a nice little touch by the designers. And beyond that, yeah, like you have this great range of motion in the shoulder. It is completely universal. Lots of range there. See, 360 degrees on the bicep. 2 different elbow joints. You're not going to get a huge range to it, but basically a natural range for the Optimus Prime. So I'm not really like worried about like losing too many poses here. You can still hit the 90-degree bend. Ball joints on the wrists, and the hands will have more articulation later. I'll show you that in a bit. See, we have a waist joint as well. It's going to get hindered a little bit by all the detail. That's just to be expected out of a movie design where they didn't really consider this functioning in a 3-dimensional space where it has to be an action figure. Everything around the hips can actually fold out and give you a lot more range if you need them. So, yeah, to get them all the way out like so. Great range of motion on a universal hip. You also have a swing here if you need the leg to move forward out of the way. So lots of range there. Thigh rotation works very, very nicely. You can get all the way around depending on the angle and how many parts you can dodge. Double jointed on the knee. Look at that. Look at the panels slide while you bend the knee. I love that effect. Not only to just add a little bit of gimmickry, but again, it kind of gives Prime this more alive feeling. But it also moves the detail into a more natural position. So like if I've got the leg skirt up like that, and I have the knee bent in that position, all of that still looks very, very natural. Slides out of the way of the skirt, gets you up a little bit higher, and it's just a nice smoother look to it. In the ankle, full rotation, side to side, back and forth, all of that working well. The toe also articulates if you need the toe to do something specific, which is great. Even this back heel detail, also on a hinge, also articulated. So you have a phenomenal range of articulation that you're only going to get from something that doesn't have to be encumbered by a vehicle mode. And if you just want a really, really nice representation of this Optimus Prime, and I know a lot of people do because it's a very popular iteration of the design, this is going to give you everything you need to just have this really, really cool display item on a desk, on a shelf, wherever. It's a beautiful piece that has so much range of motion to it. And we're going to get just a little bit more. So this is the part where I bring in accessories. And the accessories are going to include the articulated hands. Now, the hands are ball jointed at the thumb, and then you have a multi-hinge system here. So at the actual top of the fist and at the main knuckle, you're going to have an individual hinge for the index finger, but you're also going to have a hinge system for the lower fingers as well. That allows you to grasp onto things or have a little bit more nuanced poses and positions for the hand. And of course, both hands have this. You're also going to have this notch here to help hold onto accessories a little bit tighter, since these hinges, might not always get a good grip on the handles of things, so that's really attentive of them. You are going to need to use at least one in order to hold both of his accessories at once. So I'm going to just demonstrate how to swap out hands with the axe accessory. And I love how the axe is not your typical Energon axe. It's mechanical, it's a lot more brutal. I kind of prefer this. I know it's not the traditional Optimus Prime axe, but I think it looks better, so I like it. So let me go ahead. It is a simple ball joint. So pop off, pop on, and Prime is now ready for war, which she usually is. The axe itself is a really nice accessory piece to him, and I do like that it's held at that angle. That's a lot more natural angle for holding such a heavy weapon. It does allow you a lot more interesting poses rather than just, I'm holding it at a 90-degree angle, which is nice. It's great for displaying like combat strikes and swings as part of his articulation. It's a really nice choice. This is one reason why I really, really wish Transformer hand sculpts were not dedicated to a 90-degree angle, because it's so unnatural when you get into melee. You have a sword or axe accessory, I want that forward aim, because that's what makes it look like he's actually attacking. Now, for other hands, outside of just the normal closed fist ones, and then the articulated ones that you just saw, and here's where I point out that all of these do have an extra pin to them, so they're a little bit more secure, which is nice. But also, hang on. Okay, so you have that. You have the traditional splayed open hands, and you have ones for left and right there. You have closed fists for both sides, of course you do. You have the finger point. I have pointed it out before. I will point it out again. You have to have a finger point for your Optimus Prime toys these days. That's just how it works. There's just no way of getting around it. Prime has to point. And now if I remove this hand, you also have a dedicated open hand for holding his accessories. If you want something that looks maybe a little bit more natural, or in the instance of the blaster, his ion blaster, something that actually reaches the trigger with the finger. I do really like this take on the ion blaster, by the way. It is a very serious rifle. It is hilariously big, but at the same time, it feels like Optimus just kind of readied up with the biggest weapon he could find to go up against Megatron with. And considering he strapped a cannon to his arm and just went into the battlefield, I think that's a fair call by Optimus Prime. So yeah, the rifle's always been hilariously big to me, but that's just how this Optimus Prime works, and he holds it up really well. All the joints, this is something that I can't really convey in a video. The joints themselves all are very, very solid. A lot of them use the metal construction, so they have a lot more friction and heft to them. So he's holding up all these big, heavy accessories absolutely fine. Okay, what else here? What else can we do? Well, there is the regular stuff. So we have the display base, which, if you've seen any of the YOLO Park videos before, You know this is the display base they use a lot, but for Cybertronian aesthetic and movie aesthetic, I think the overall design works the best. Also, really heavy steel cable in order to hold figures up, so whatever pose you're going to put them in, that will hold it. It's a very, very solid display base. Also, the removable Autobot symbol, which is also going to give you his light trick. So, a lot of these Yolo Park AMK figures also come with the ability to light up the eyes. The way it works is there is a magnet hidden in here that's going to trigger the LED inside the head. One tap is going to make Optimus Prime's eyes light up blue, which looks cool as it is. And then the second one is going to make it blink. And then for a slow pulsing effect, tap it again. Well, if I tap it correctly. Okay, there's the pulsing effect. My shutter speed made it look like it was still blinking. Excuse me. And then, of course, hit it again. That's going to turn all the eyes off. It's a simple trick, but I still think it's a really cool trick to do. And it's also helpful that the eyes are bright enough in the plastic that they still look alive even though they have the light up gimmick, which that's a really big deal for me. Okay, so typically for an AMK Pro, this is where we would call it a video. However, I do have one last thing I need to show you before we end, and that is the additional tray of parts. See, what you're looking at right now is the Earth mode version of this Optimus Prime. I'm going to switch these parts, and we're going to show you the Cybertronian version. So this is going to be a lot of subtle detail changes, but I'll point them out to you once we're done. Alright, we are officially in Cybertronian mode, and I know the subtle changes are not easy to spot at first. But we'll take you around the tour real quick. It's a few things here. So the wheels on the side have now reached a more mechanical look. They don't have the fancy silver hubs anymore. It's a little bit more practical, a little bit more highly detailed. We also have blue now on the forearms for these panels. I think this is probably the easiest thing to spot amongst all the changes to the toy. So you get a little bit more blue on the arms, and then another easy detail to see is the new shoulder armor. This is a single component rather than the two that comprise the previous mode. And of course, that smokestack is looking far more futuristic than the original one. And then you have the chest detail itself, which really doesn't do a whole lot of switching other than swapping out a couple little details, and most notably, no windshield wipers, because why would you need them on Cybertron, or at least in that capacity? So it's a subtle change, but it's one of those things where I feel like Yolo Park probably could have gotten away with just releasing this figure again later on with those changes and just calling it a second release. I think it's really cool that they actually included all of that instead, so you get an all-in-one package, even if the changes are not that noticeable at first. The assembly for it is pretty easy. You're going to basically use all the same connection points that you used to assemble the toy in the first place. So again, very easy to swap on and off. And also, you can do this with both modes, but it makes for a good finale to show that the chest does open up. And then you can have that come down. So there is your matrix of leadership. And if you see these little tabs here, it is actually gimmicked to make the matrix emerge if you lift them up. It's such a subtle little detail, but it's a very cool extra gimmick to add into the torso. I love that it's a full matrix annex with multiple layers of opening, and I do really like the look of the matrix here. It does not come out to my knowledge. It just seemed very, very stuck in there. I would rather not remove it anyway, just in case. So it's another little bit of play value to what is already an incredibly good toy. So that, my friends, is your Yolo Park AMK Pro Optimus Prime Bumblebee Movie Edition. You get everything in shot so you can be reminded of just how much is in this set. It's a lot. So the accessories, the hand count, the light up eyes, the display stand is pretty much everything I would expect AMK Pro to do. On top of the fact it's just an incredibly detailed sculpt, both in paint and just sculpted detail. And it's an incredible job. But then you throw in the additional armor parts so you can have the version you prefer. Now it's an extra level. now. It's incredibly cool. So, again, I know, broken record, but I am once again really impressed by what YOLO Park does for the price they ask for it. So, once again, as a little quick reminder, if you would like one yourself, the link to go buy it is in the description below. And once again, thank you so much to YOLO Park for giving me the chance to talk about this toy. You've done incredible work once again. So I will leave you with that. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.